and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Morning Glory video. And today we are going to be doing a quick tip Tactica, the episode where we discuss a powerful strategy that you can easily include in your army. And once again, I find myself visiting the Kasrkin. When this unit first came out in 10th edition, I derided it. I didn't think it was very good. But the more that I look at it, the more that I scratch below the surface, and the more battlefield experience I get, the more I realise that the elite sons and daughters of Cadia have a lot to offer a budding Imperial Guard commander. Now, normally a Kasrkin video on its own is enough reason to get excited, but I'm going to take you to levels of hype hitherto unseen. Because today's video is so simple, so straightforward that anyone can include this in their army. What you tend to find with a lot of crazy unit combinations is that it involves 7 different units all working together perfectly, and in this very specific circumstance on like Planet Bowling Ball, it wins you the game. But that rarely actually happens. We're taking it back to basics today. This combination is effective, it's simple, and most importantly, it's points unintensive. You can include the tactic that we're going to be talking about today, and you'll have plenty of points left over for all of your favorite units, for all of your bread and butter, for all of your tanks, and it will just fit in seamlessly alongside them. I know that sounds too good to be true. It's a bold statement, and I am being very coy. You know what? I'll stop blue balling you guys. Let's crack on and dive right into today's episode. Now, gather round, dear conscripts. Grandpa Mordian wants to tell you a quick story. And don't worry, this is all to give context to the Tactica and the rest of the video. I was recently at a grand tournament, and I took my old school pure Scion army. It's all Scions and Tauroxes, and some of them deep strike down, and then you've got some planes, and it was a ton of fun. One of the best tournaments I've ever been to. But one of the things that really stood out for me during that event was how punchy Scions felt when they were attacking things on objectives. You see, Scions have a Stormtrooper ability, and when an enemy unit stands on an objective, you get full rerolls to hit against them. And so it meant that all of my shots were just hitting. I'd drop like 1 or 2 here and there. And really, once I'd got the hits across the line, a lot of the wounds were able to come through naturally, especially if I was shooting at something like infantry, Melter and Plasma, easily able to wound on 2s and 3s. It was really just getting the hits in that was the important bit. But what I also noticed was that when the Scions were shooting at something that wasn't on an objective, their firepower diminished greatly, because they still got to reroll 1s, but rerolling 1s and hitting on 3s and rerolling everything and hitting on 3s is a big difference. You'd be surprised about how many 2s you roll. And the thing is that there were many situations where I wasn't shooting enemy units on objectives. Sometimes the enemy just isn't where you need them to be, and you've just got to get them whilst you can. And so I came away from the tournament wishing that I could have my Scions hitting on 2s. Now you might think, well, Mordian, that's super easy, just tell them to take aim. The thing is that Scions are often deep striking, so they can't get orders, or they're jumping out of vehicles, so they can't get orders. They often miss out on the command phase. I think at that event, over the course of 5 games, I maybe did half a dozen orders at most. But then I started thinking about Kasrkin. You see, Kasrkin can tell themselves to do orders via their warrior elite ability. Now, sure, they can't do that while they're in a transport, but they can do that whilst they're in reserve. I've talked about this in another episode, how you can use abilities whilst in reserve, and that's a big change from 9th to 10th edition. And what this means is that our Kasrkin can tell themselves to take aim whilst they're in reserve in the command phase, and then in the movement phase they can come in from strategic reserve and they'll have +1 to hit. Brilliant, we've got our elite infantry hitting on 2s. However, that's only half of the puzzle, because we still need some form of rerolls, because you know that if you're hitting on 2s, you're just going to roll a whole bunch of 1s, right? Like that volley's just going to go off and just miss. This is where our second unit comes in. It's dead straightforward. It's a Scout Sentinel. With as few as just a single Scout Sentinel, we can give our Kasrkin reroll 1s to hit. Because Daring Recon, which is the Scout Sentinel ability, happens at the start of your shooting phase, not in the command phase. And it gives you reroll 1s to hit against an enemy unit. So suddenly, we've got our Kasrkin hitting on 2s with reroll 1s. That's like our Scions getting hit on 3s with full rerolls. But what's even better is our Kasrkin don't need to shoot anything on an objective. This can come in from any board edge from turn 3. This can come in and just target any enemy unit, whether it's hiding behind an L-shaped ruin near an objective, whether it's on an enemy objective, whether it's just out in the open. It doesn't matter. This is like doing the Scion thing, but better, because you can do it anywhere. And to be honest, fundamentally, that is the basic combo. Just one squad of Scions and a Scout Sentinel. They come in from reserve. Scout Sentinel gives them rerolls, the Kasrkin go nuts. And it's not even very expensive, it's like 160 points. But, as with any good quick tip Tactica, it can scale. I would describe that as the bronze level package.
Attention guardsmen, this is an announcement by the Departamento Militarum. Element Games is an official sponsor of the Mordianglorytv channel. They offer up to 20% off Warhammer 40k and 10% off bolt action and other game systems. Use the link down in the description to save money and support the channel. Anyone not using the link will be referred to the local commissariat. Also, don't forget that if you use referral code TIM3921, then you will receive double store credit, saving even more money on your future purchases. That's all for now. Fallout!
And what's great about this level is that it's so cheap. It's 160 points. You can slot that into any army. It's not even 10% of your list. And you, instead of taking that low-level budget Leman Russ that maybe it'll just die, it's just there to bulk out your armor forces, you can take this instead. And what's cool is, don't forget that Scout Sentinels and also Kasrkin have the regiment keyword. So if this stuff dies, it's a good chance we'll be able to bring some, if not all of it back. Whereas with the Leman Russ, when it's gone, it's gone. Also, let's not forget that the Sentinel itself doesn't need to shoot. So if you're looking for a unit that can come in, do damage, but also do actions, do objectives at the same time, Scout Sentinel can do that. No problem whatsoever. You forego its one las cannon or a couple of autocannon shots, and instead you score some secondaries, but you're not having to pick between damage and points, you're getting both. Also, another thing, I know I just keep layering it on, another thing about the Scout Sentinel outflanking is not only is it going to support your Kasrkin, but by outflanking it, by putting it in reserve, you're getting it closer so it can actually use its Daring Recon ability, and it's more likely to get the angle so it can see an important unit. So not only is it going to give reroll 1s to your Kasrkin, but it can also benefit your artillery, getting rid of all the problems that they have with indirect fire. So there's a lot of benefits that the Sentinel's bringing on its own. It's acting as a big force multiplier upon multiple parts of your army. But wait, there's more, because we can take this a step further. This is where we bring in the silver level package. Add Acadian Castellan to your Kasrkin squad. It's a simple upgrade, it's 45 points. Maybe you get to the end of your list and you're like, oh well, I've got 5 points here and I've taken a death mask and I'll just screw it, I'll chuck in a commissar. No, don't do that. Take all of those little wasted points that we just said and put Acadian Castellan into the Kasrkin unit instead. Now they've got sustained hits, which is going to only increase their firepower. And if they do survive past one turn, then they can start getting 2 orders on the squad as well. However, that's all well and good, but we need to address a bit of an elephant in the room, a fly in the ointment, as it were. Kasrkin are great, and they've got melter, and they've got plasma, and they've got sniper rifles, plasma pistols, awesome. But if you're coming across an enemy armored force, maybe there's something stuck in a transport that you want to get out, the problem you're going to have is, as you find with stormtroopers, they don't quite have the punch you want in the big vehicle meta. They can clear out an enemy objective, and this combo is perfect for doing that, but you might want something that can also detrack or take chunks out of an enemy monster or vehicle force. This is where we get to the gold tier. This is where instead of taking 1 Sentinel, you take 3. 3 Sentinels with las cannons and hunter killer missiles with reroll 1s from their own ability means that they will be able to do some damage to a vehicle, maybe take that vehicle out and add some much needed anti-big stuff firepower to supplement your Kasrkin. Of course, you must bear in mind that as we're going up these tiers, it's going to cost more and more points. So the bronze level's super easy because you can just chuck it into any list and you know it's going to work. It's not going to take up too many points. The silver level is coming in at about 205 points, which is a little pricey. It's 15 points more than taking a 10-man Scion squad and adding a 5-man command squad to it. So they're about equals pequals. But when we start getting to gold tier, it's getting pricey. We're looking at about 325 points there. It's about 15% of your list. That's where you've got to have serious consideration. And I think gold tier is good, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people didn't go for it. If you're going to go for gold tier, you might want to consider taking this from being a quick tip tactica to being a fundamental part of your army, to have your list built around this concept. Because there's nothing stopping you from taking this twice or even thrice. You could take 3 squads of Kasrkin and put 3 Scout Sentinels in lone squadrons and have them coming in and just hitting people left, right and center. That's going to come in at about 480 points. If you start adding on like the Castellans and making them big full strength squads, you're going to be starting looking at a lot of points. But it is very potent. You're getting a lot of las cans, a lot of hunter killers, a lot of Kasrkin that are hitting really, really hard. If I think back to my Scion tournament and I ask myself realistically, what would I rather have had? Those 2 vultures flying around or having Kasrkin and having Sentinels in my list? I know without a doubt I would have gone for the Sentinel Kasrkin combo. Maybe at platinum tier, maybe at gold tier, but I definitely would have gone for that. Because it really stood out to me how effective having elite infantry with lots of special weapons with full rerolls to hit was. But taking a step back for a moment and not getting too carried away with how much we can scale this up and how we can do this into mass production, realistically, what would I personally include in my list? What would I be comfortable with running? I would definitely go for 1 bronze tier package. I think a Sentinel, squad of Kasrkin brings a lot to table. It's less than 10% of your list. It just slots in very nicely. I would consider taking a second one as well, especially if I was going for a pure Scion army. I think the bronze tier package can be included in any kind of guard army, but if you're focusing on going for the dedicated Scion goodness, I think rather than messing around with heavy planes like vultures, maybe not worrying so much about Torx primes and stuff like that, but instead focusing on what Scions do best. Infantry that hit well above their weight. I think I would go for as many Scion squads and command squads as I can, and then I'd add in some cheap transports, maybe some cheap flyers, and then I'd start seeing how many of these Kasrkin bronze tier packages I can get in my army. That's where I would focus. But that's just me. And all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Do you think this tactic has merit? I know it's very simple and straightforward, but sometimes the best laid plans are. Big question I have for the community: what other characters would you consider adding into the Kasrkin squads? Do Primaris Psychers have a place here? They would also benefit from hitting on 2s and the rerolling 1s. Is there anything else that I might have overlooked? Maybe some kind of allies or Inquisition? Let me know what you would do to season this particular combo. If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the Call of Duty. So a massive thank you to Bon Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, August Vardy, and the Tommies. Thank you guys. Your incredible support makes a huge difference, and it is a big part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.